Yes, sir.
Have you ever hit a dry spell?
Who are you?
I'm sorry, I'm Brian.
Thank you. Hi, Brian.
Hi. Have you ever hit a spell where you felt like you weren't in that state of flow, where things weren't like chugging along on a where your effort wasn't being matched by good things happening? And then how did you get yourself out?
Yeah, I think I really think I hit that point about 6 months into my job at Ashoka. Actually, it was a huge, it was a difficult transition for me, moving from this tiny organization that I ran, and if I wanted something to happen, it would happen, more or less. I could just decide. And then moving into being, one person inside this very large organization, 500 staff in 60 countries, all these different programs, and all of a sudden I went from a situation of, and I'm grateful that I did go from this, to be honest, because I think, it's dangerous when I'd had all this formal power in a way, like I'd been the boss, and while it was mostly volunteers, and that tempers it, you can't really order volunteers around too much, you've got to inspire them to do the work, because that's great. But I was beginning to have staff and people who I could kind of order around, it was their jobs to do what I said. And moving to a situation where I had zero formal authority, actually. I mean, I had an impressive job title, but no one reports to me at Ashoka, no one is accountable to me, so I had to build all this informal authority inside the organisation, and learning. I'd never worked inside a big organisation. I'd always worked for myself, building by what I'd done all this project work, and all of a sudden, big organisation, kind of the internal politics. That I really hit a wall about 6-9 months in, where I just felt like I'm not getting anything done here. Like I just can't figure out how to align things internally to make it happen. And I feel like. And I think that was just a matter of learning, that just, informal authority is about relationships, and I just had to hit the point where I had the right relationships and that I'd become this person that people trusted to involve in their planning, and they listened to me. No one was going to listen to me on day one. I had to justify that I had something worth listening to. And so I think but it took longer, I'd been, I guess, too used to that, to people listening to me. I'd become used to that. And I had to start from people not listening to me and then justify why they should again. And it was hard. Yeah.
Prove yourself all over again.
And it's still frustrating. It still took, I started talking about we need a Twitter account 6 months later. I got to launch a Twitter account. I mean, that's ridiculous. It's a Twitter account. Can we just get on and do this? Like, why am I even... And I have to say that part of what got me going again was beginning to kind of ignore some of the... I'd just start doing things to a certain extent and figuring out ways around some of the kind of decision-making trees and being like, let's just kind of...
I'll beg for forgiveness later rather than ask for permission.
Exactly, and getting a little bit more confident with that. Yeah.
We have time for one more. Sir, you had a question. Your hand was...
Oh, no, I was pointing to somebody else.
Oh, that was a spasm. We have time for one more question if anyone would like to ask a question of Tom.
So what about the future? Like, what's the next big thing that you're going to see in social media or in I don't know. What are you looking forward to?
It's a great question, I don't know. What I would like to do, we have a bit of a plan. We're actually looking at the moment to possibly move to the West Coast in the next little while. Our visas are up in August. Our visas are up in August, and it's a 2-year visa, and I need to get someone to renew it. And I don't think I want to renew with Ashoka. It's been a great experience. But my role at Ashoka is kind of transitioning, where I've put so much energy into setting stuff up. We didn't have a blog, we didn't have a Twitter account, we have these things now. And a huge part of my job now is maintaining all these channels I've set up. So I feel like I'm good at setting stuff up. I'm not actually a great maintainer. I'm not a good administrator. It's true. And so I kind of feel like it's the hunting versus farming metaphor. I feel like I'm a good hunter. I go out there after things and try and find them. And then once things are set up, it's all about farming. It's cultivating it. And I'm not so much of a farmer. And so I don't feel like I feel like I've done my time at Ashoka and I'm proud of what's been achieved, and it's time to hand over somewhere else. And what I would really like to do is to do what I've done with Ashoka, but from external to companies. I would like to actually work with non-profits to help bring them up to scratch with social media, but as an external person coming in and helping them do that. Because I actually feel like you can have more leverage sometimes as an external person when you're coming in and people are obviously they're ready to listen to what you have to say, or else they wouldn't have brought you in the first place. Time is money. If you're a consultant, you're every hour. Whereas kind of if you're staff, they shove you in an office and we'll talk to you next week. It's not costing any more to listen to you than it is to not listen to you. Once your salary is there, it's true though. Whereas if you're a consultant, it actually is an enormous loss to not let there. So I feel like it can really accelerate that impact when you come in from outside and say this, and work with people to help get them to a certain point, and then you leave it to them to train them, give them the capacity to work on it, because that's been my focus at Ashoka as well, is that I knew coming in that I was on a 2-year visa. And that was actually a really good perspective, because I think too many people maybe at not-for-profits can settle, can kind of take on the mindset of being lifers, not-for-profit and just kind of do the same stuff week after week. And I knew that wasn't going to work, and that it wasn't good enough for me to be good at social media. By the end of my time, Ashoka had to be good at social media, and that was different from me being good at it. The skill set had to be distributed across the organisation, the understanding had to be distributed, and that's been a big part of what they're focusing on. So I'd love to do that for other organisations, and to be able to move more swiftly through them in a way, on a project-to-project basis. Because I think I get bored a little bit easily as well, and I think I need projects. Because once my week becomes, like right now, to show I'm kind of at that tipping point where my weeks are becoming increasingly similar. This week is pretty much like last week-ish, and will be pretty similar to next week, and that is becoming more similar over time. And that's when it's time for me to move on.
Okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen, a big hand for... We'll be back next month. Last Saturday of April is the plan, if Daryl will invite us back.
Cheers.
Which means clean the fuck up. No trash the place. I will be posting this video, at least to begin with, on YouTube. And we're going to try to maybe make a home for Burner Salon on the web with audio and video. So, thanks again, folks, for showing up. We'll see you next month. Sir?
Thank you.